I'm going to introduce you to another type of slicing application. This is the Solar1 online 3D slicing service. The point of this service is for people who might not want to install a slicing application directly on their PC, or they might be on a computer that does not have the software installed, but you still have internet access. The layout is very similar to the slicing application in the last lesson. I'm going to click Browse to open up my project and click Upload. This will upload my model to the Solar1 service. On successful upload, you will see a 3D representation of your model in the window. Now, just like the application before, we have the same settings to customize to your printer. Here's how to navigate the print settings. As you can see, these parameters are almost identical to the slicing software of the previous lesson. To go to each section, just click on its tab, update the parameters you want to update, and click Save. These parameters will be saved to your personal account, so you don't have to worry about exporting the config. Every time you log in, you will have the same parameters you did before. Now, once you're happy with your parameters, indicate the output file name you want and click Slice. Once the model's ready, you simply click Download and save the G-code file right to your computer, and you're done. It's a very simple tool to use. Finally, I want to touch on an older piece of software I mentioned in my previous lesson of Skeinforge. Skeinforge was one of the pioneers of 3D printing slicing technology. It's a bit dated now, and a lot of the parameters are for advanced users. I'm going to go over a couple of the common ones in case you decide you want to use this, and you can play with some of the other parameters to your liking. Let's take a look at Carve. One of the first parameters you're going to want to change is the layer height. This is the same layer height in the other slicing applications that indicates how thick you want each layer to print. So if I want a 0.2 mil, I'll change that to 0.2 mil. Like I said, a lot of these other parameters are very advanced. If you have any questions about any of these parameters, click the question button. It'll open a browser and take you to the help page that explains what each one of these does. Like I said, some printers are equipped with a fan. If you want to activate that fan during the print, you would indicate that here. Also, if you wanted to pause between layers to let certain layers or certain parts cool, you can indicate the time and the seconds that you want your print to pause to allow for cooling. Let's go to dimension. Here's where you would indicate the diameter of your filament. If you use 3mm filament, put 3 in this parameter here. If you have 1.75, obviously you would put 1.75 if you have that kind of filament. If we go to fill, this is the infill, very similar to the last application. You would indicate the pattern that you want your infill, the amount of shells that you want on the outside of your object. Also, if you want top and bottom, the angle at which the infill is in your object, and what they call infill solidity. This is similar to the last application, where if you have a piece of your part that's smaller than a certain radius or a certain surface area, to create a solid layer for that object. Let's go to Raft. Like I explained in the last lesson, a raft prints a platform in which your object can actually sit on, so to eliminate the possibility of it breaking off of your platform. There are many options here that you can choose from. If you just simply want to turn the raft on, you can activate it here, and then give your parameters of what kind of raft you want it to build to support your object. In the last application, that was combined with the skirt function here. Remember, the skirt was a little bit of print that it did before it actually started the object by drawing an outline around the bottom layer. If we look at scale, if you wanted to actually scale your object, say you wanted to actually print your object 1.5 times larger than what you've actually designed, you can put that here. And if we go to speed, you would need to customize this to your printer to optimize printing for how fast it can actually operate. If we look at temperature, these are the temperatures at which your machine operate. Again, I would recommend 190 degrees centigrade for PLA and 230 degrees centigrade for ABS plastic. You can also specify the temperature of your support layers and your infill. Again, if your printer is equipped with a wiping mechanism, you may want to activate it here. You may want to give the speeds or the distances as to where that wiper is located. You may want to give the parameters to the location of where the wiping mechanism is, and you would specify that here. I'm going to wrap up Skeinforge here. Again, it's a very complicated piece of software, and it's not highly used anymore, but some people like it for its high number of parameters and customizations. So if you choose to go down that route, give Skeinforge a look.